all unions have rejected an offer by the airline to end what will possibly be a crippling strike. Workers affiliated to the South African Cabin Crew Association and the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa will go on strike from tomorrow. This means that most SAA flights won't be operational. The SAA Pilots Association says it supports the strike. Our reporter Sipha Kema is keeping an eye on the situation. Let's take you live to her tonight. Sipha, good evening. There was certainly no mincing their words tonight as the unions updated the media on the state of affairs, and it seems they feel SAA is not playing ball, so they simply are not going to be coming to the party, and therefore they'll bring it to its knees.
Well, that is correct, Kathy. As you said, that they're going to, this strike could cripple South African Airways. The mother of all strikes, as said by Nomsa and Saka, will go ahead tomorrow. And South African Airways is estimated to lose close to 50 million rand just for one day only, Kathy. And as you know, that the unions did state that this will be an indefinite strike. But to tell us more on that, we do have Nomsa's spokesperson, Paramile Hlubi-Majola, to give us more insight on the strike. Of course, Paramile, there are questions asked by especially passengers saying that tomorrow I'm going to be stranded. So now, before we get into the strike, what is the plan regarding tomorrow for passengers?
Well, we've advised passengers that they should make alternative arrangements, and you'll remember that SAA itself went and cancelled a lot of domestic and international flights in expectation of the strike. And this is why we're saying that it's a bit senseless that they've taken that course of action, because that 50 million a day that they say the cancellation will cost them, 2 days of that cancellation is our entire wage demand for all staff for the whole year. So they should simply just give in to the demands that we're making, not lose out on any revenue, and then everybody can go back to work.
But now the question would be, you're requesting an 8% increase and they're putting 5.9% on the table. Why is SAA and the unions not meeting halfway?
I think for us, it's much more than just the wage increase. You remember what we said earlier in our statement. We want SAA not just to give a wage increase. We want SAA to deal with the real problem, which is responsible for its debt levels. SAA's biggest cost driver is the 25 billion per annum procurement spend. And if it does not deal directly with that issue, we're going to be back here 6 months from now, a year from now, because they don't have any money. You'll remember that in 2015, we were faced with exactly the same set of circumstances. The board told us that 1,000 workers needed to be retrenched in order to save SAA. 1,000 workers indeed lost their jobs because of that decision. But management failed to act on these issues that we're raising now. Even as far back as 2015, the issue of the procurement spend, the evergreen contracts, the bloated contracts, the corruption, the looting, we raised that in 2015. Management promised in 2015 to deal with those issues. It's been 4 years. They haven't done a damn thing. And now we are faced with this crisis. This is why workers are saying enough is enough. We cannot sit by idly while jobs are going to be lost. There's no consequence management for these managers who are earning very large salaries with extremely generous packages. But workers and their families must suffer without breadwinners because of looting and corruption and mismanagement of executives and a board that doesn't care.
Now, one more question. Of course, Paramile, we know that the changes cannot happen overnight. It's a continuing process. So what would bring the workers back to work then to say, okay, we agree and now we are going to start implementing the changes? So at what part then in the indefinite strike will then we expect the workers to come back to work?
We would like them to deal with this question of the procurement spend, with the insourcing. That's what we want. We don't want them to tell us, because how they responded to our demand on insourcing was to say that they want to set up a task team and to discuss terms of references. We reject that, because we've discussed terms of references with these people before, with this board and this management. They've never honored the terms of reference. We've the Ernst & Young report very clearly outlines what needs to be done. So in other words, that work's been done for them. All they have to do is to implement. We have an example where this has actually worked. At South African Airways Technical, there was a contract with a company called KWE. This contract was for warehousing and it cost them 22 million per annum. We recognized that this work could be done by SAA technical employees. The contract was cancelled. There was no terms of reference. There was no task team. A decision was taken because of the pressure that unions had placed on them. Boom, bang, it was done. This is what we want to happen here. This is where we are. There's no time to pontificate over processes. We know what we need to do. The Ernst & Young report outlines very specifically, and we even shared that with you, names of companies, areas of businesses where insourcing or even local service providers could be found. The question we must ask ourselves is, why has the management and the board of SAA refused to act on this? As far as we're concerned, it's because they want to continue with the culture of looting and corruption. They don't want to deal with the theft. They want this airline to collapse. And as workers, we can't just sit back and allow that to happen.
All right, thank you so much, Phakamile. That's NUMSA's Phakamile saying that the union they're rejecting this offer. But of course, Kathy, this is not just about wages. This is about a long, ongoing problem at South African Airways, which is, of course, as they say, the executive management saying that they want the people who've been implicated in corruption deals in the state capture, of course, to have their contracts terminated. And also the issue of outsourcing some of the services here by South African Airways. They did give us a list of names such as Bidvest Air, Shebile Aviation, saying that the work that they do, such as aircraft cleaning, can actually be insourced and done by South African Airways crew.
All right, Sipa, let's leave it there for tonight. Our reporter, Sipa Kem, is out watching that story for us. Now, we're expecting that many of these SAA staff are going to be on the front lines from about 4 a.m. tomorrow as they begin their... If SAA does not come to the party, there will be no room for negotiation. So as it stands, then that strike action is going full speed ahead. So if you have any flights with SAA, the suggestion would be to really check your schedules carefully. They're not expecting to fly any flights tomorrow. We'll keep tabs on that story.